All righty, one big beautiful bill passes the House Ways and Means Committee. Let us bring in the main man, House Ways and Means Chair, Mr. Jason Smith from the great state of Missouri. Jason Smith, you get a lot of congratulations for this one. You get a lot, including Kevin McCarthy, who said so. He was on set just a few moments ago. Congrats.
Well, thank you, Larry, but this is just the first step. We've been working for this moment for over the last 2 years, and of course, yesterday we started this bill markup. It lasted over 17 and a half hours. In fact, my ranking member said this is the longest amount of time he's ever spent in the Ways and Means Committee room in his 30-plus years in office. But you know what? Where I come from, Larry, you don't quit until you get your job done, and we need to deliver this tax bill for the 77 million Americans that voted for Donald Trump and sent him to the White House. And we delivered on permanency of Trump's expiring provisions of the successful 2017 tax cuts. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors. We did other great things, including juicing the small business deduction 199A to 23%. This will help small businesses compete with larger companies. It's going to be a very pro-growth tax bill.
Yeah, and you put some more juice in for the kiddie credit, more juice in for the standard deduction. I noticed also, Jason, you did some inflation indexing to gross it up even more, which is terrific stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, you grossed up the deduction so the seniors wouldn't have to pay all those Social Security taxes. Is that all? That's all in the bill, right?
That's absolutely all in that bill. We want to make sure that seniors are not paying taxes on their Social Security, and that's, in fact, what we're doing within using the tax code to give them the tax relief. We're also making sure that if you purchase a car in the United States that has been built in the United States, that you'll be able to deduct that interest. This was a priority of the president's. We also created, increased the endowment taxes on elite universities. For example, Harvard will have a 21% endowment tax rate, which is the same as the corporate tax rate. Mm-hmm. They currently have a 1.4%. We need to make sure they pay their fair share.
Yeah, I like that very much. Some of the supply-siders are wondering what happened to the 15% Made in America corporate tax.
So the effective rate will be 15% when you look at all the extra benefits that we did within it. Of course, like I said, juicing 199A, but we also are making it where if you are building a factory or remodeling a new factory that you can 100% expense over the next 4 years. We also brought back 100% expensing for manufacturing items. We also added back research and development expensing 100%, and we gave a very favorable interest deductibility calculation that manufacturers with less than $100 million will be able to expense all of their interest expense. These are things, when you put it all in one pool, it will be the effective rate about 15%. It was a little bit more complicated to do it overall, but this will deliver.
But did I hear you correctly also, new factory investment will be expensed immediately 100%?
100% over the first 4 years.
4 years.
That's exactly the case. This is a big priority of President Trump. He wants to make sure that we are bringing manufacturing back into the United States. And for them to be able to expense those structures over the next 4 years will play a huge impact to the economy.
One thing I want to ask you, we did some back-of-the-envelope calculations from the committee's handouts. But over the next 10 years, CBO has a 1.7% growth rate in real GDP, but yours is only 2.1%. And a lot of us were hoping that you would, gross that thing way up, particularly regarding, Art Laffer curve incentives and, just more dynamic scoring.
Well, I'll tell you, whenever the effects of these tax policies and the regulation reform that the president's doing and his great trade policies, our GDP is going to be exponential. If you just look at 2017, when we passed the Trump tax cuts, the first 2 years after passage, before COVID, GDP was almost 1% above what was projected by CBO and joint tax. And we're going to see those numbers again. I think we'll actually exceed those numbers with everything moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And then finally, what everyone's talking about is the 30,000 SALT deduction cap. It doesn't do much for me. I'm not a supporter of that, but I know some people need it and their friends. Where does all that stand?
You know, we've just been threading a needle to make sure we have the votes here. What we did was increase the SALT cap 300% to $30,000. This will provide a lot of relief for our colleagues in California, New York, and New Jersey. In fact, when you look at their congressional districts, more than 90% of their constituents will be covered under this added SALT tax cut.
And terrific stuff. Anyway, many congrats. Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith. You did it. A lot of people said you couldn't do it. You told me you could do it. You did it. Terrific stuff, sir. Appreciate it very much. Talk soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Jason.